I did the biggest open secret of all time.
Is that these people were in this movie. Well, part of it is Sony, when it comes to leaks, is the worst movie company out there. They can't
remember the emails.
They can't keep anything locked under. I mean, and think about this movie specifically: is all the leaks were true. There were no fake leaks for this movie.
Welcome to Idiot Plot, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Idiot Plot. Today, we're talking about Spider-Man: No Way Home, the biggest movie of 2021. Not that's really saying much. I'm David Josh. Joining me today, as always, are my co-host Alex Overall,
Dave, MJ,
and Justin Neitzel.
Can we kill Ned?
We'll get into all of that in a little bit, but first, guys, award season's officially here.
Yeah.
Woo.
So sarcastic.
Screener season.
Screener season's here.
The movies you won't be able to see until after the awards.
Yeah, that might change because of certain streaming stuff, but it's still kind of an issue. But the Golden Globes happened, an awards ceremony brought to everyone by live blogs because due to NBC dropping the televised ceremony after lots of controversy surrounding the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, for them not having any non-white or I think specifically black people on the committee and a bunch of other really
79 years for us to figure that out.
Yeah, like it's a bunch of other shady stuff that went on with them. It's been a boycott, so they had like this bizarre celebrity-free ceremony that basically was just them putting the results on the internet as they're coming out. It was pretty lame, but it will give us insight into the Oscars coming up pretty soon. So let's see some of the big winners and losers. So the winner for Best Drama Movie was The Power of the Dog, which I don't think any of us have actually seen yet, even though we all can.
I know, and I wanted to. I mean, it looks
Is that the
like a good
one?
film. I've heard good things.
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
Where is it?
And
where is it that we could be able to see it? Netflix? Oh.
And yeah, it is the favorite, which is interesting that Netflix might finally win Best Picture, but it looks like it's going to happen.
Well,
Steven Spielberg's screaming into a pillow somewhere.
Well, part of it is this year, as we discussed last week, was just kind of weak, and that allows The Power of the Dog to kind of squeak on through. Even if it is really good, I don't think typically it would win most years.
Yeah, I mean it's other competition. I mean Belfast. I do like the Kenneth Branagh or whatever you want to call
it that. He's had one good movie after strings of shit.
I know.
Like I like Murder on the Orient Express, but Artemis Fowl was regarded as one of the worst movies ever made.
Looked like one of the worst movies ever made.
So
from the trailer, anyways.
Kenneth Branagh, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. But Belfast was nominated and lost. So was Coda, Dune, and King Richard. Which Justin, you saw King Richard, right?
No, I saw it last night.
Oh, okay. I thought one of us saw it.
Oh no! I saw King Richard. Sorry, you say King Richard. I'm thinking like a medieval movie, not a.
Oh. Well, you must have liked that movie then, considering you thought it was something else.
It was a movie.
Like I said, it was an alright movie. I thought Will Smith had a good performance, but other than that, it was a generic sports movie kind of deal.
Still wouldn't count Dune out yet, but
yeah, at least for director for the Oscars, I wouldn't count that out yet.
Yeah, Best Picture, Musical or Comedy was West Side Story, and went against Cyrano, Don't Look Up, Licorice Pizza, and Tick Tick Boom.
That one I actually think is like the first one that's like we'll see what happens at the Oscars because that could be indicative as we watch the other ones, because I mean Licorice Pizza is like a much bigger Best Picture lock than West Side Story, or at least it was considered that. So it's like, are they gonna love West Side Story more than expected?
Well, Licorice Pizza was one of the films this year that basically came and went with not any real buzz or pizzazz. No one really saw it. It wasn't in theaters very long.
Yeah, I think that's one that is
Rotten Tomatoes.
Right. It is like critically like one of like the highest regarded ones, but I don't actually know anyone who's seen it because it's just been a very limited release.
The fact that Don't Look Up is getting multiple award buzz stuff is a travesty.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Because people don't like it. It's not very popular. Most people just call it pretentious. But it's about climate change, so it has an audience.
Well, isn't that what most people think of the Oscars, is pretentious?
Well, no, but they do like politically motivated movies. That much is true.
Yeah.
And climate change is big. And
Yeah,
so
to
they're
me,
gonna...
Don't Look Up feels like one of those. I mean, we'll see at the Oscars if it surprises with like screenplay or something. It feels like one of those that gets nominated at the Globes because they have the 2 categories.
That's also true.
Yeah.
West Side Story is an interesting story just as itself because critics loved it, but literally no one saw it. Nobody saw it.
People were like, well, I have West Side Story at home.
And
Why would I go
at home
see
is
it?
just fine. It's the fact that it's not like Spielberg actually, I guess I can't say this for sure because I haven't seen the movie, but we all know dang well he didn't actually change anything other than casting Puerto Ricans as the Puerto Ricans. But it's the same movie. It's the same exact movie. So I don't know what they expected. Going into some other ones quickly. Best Actress Motion Picture Drama. Nicole Kidman for being the Ricardos. Again, a movie I can see, but I haven't because I haven't had time lately.
That one's also interesting because Kristen Stewart's been the favorite the whole time, but then this and now getting snubbed at SAG, it's like, is she not gonna win now?
I think Kristen Stewart is in the same position Adam Sandler was with Uncut Gems.
Damn. Yeah.
Like,
honestly, yeah.
As painful as it is to say, her reputation precedes her, and she's being punished for it.
Yeah.
Like Lady Gaga should not be nominated for stuff. That, like for House of Gucci.
Good God, no.
Jeremy Irons should, but not Lady Gaga. And she's getting more buzz than Kristen Stewart is. And everyone universally loves her performance as Spencer. But again, it's a pretty small movie, too. So, and of course, Olivia Colman is nominated because she's in the movie. Therefore, she gets nominated.
Yeah, and she's very good, but...
Best Action Motion Picture Drama went to Will Smith.
Yeah, he's going to win.
Yeah, I think he basically anointed, right?
Yeah, it feels like one of those where it's like, yeah, he's won every step of the way. It's just going to be anointing now.
Yeah, like it feels like DiCaprio with The Revenant.
Yeah, it's basically a lifetime achievement award.
Kinda, yeah. That's what it feels like. Going to some other ones. I want to get the TV at some point. Was that just musical or comedy? I don't think any of us have seen any of these movies, but Rachel Ziegler won for West Side Story. Andrew Garfield won for Tick, Tick, Boom, which I do kind of want to see, but I kind of want to see Rentverse.
Yeah, I also think, he's out of like the musical comedy ones, he's the one that's probably going to get an Oscar nomination.
Yeah. I don't see DiCaprio getting one. Maybe Cooper Hoffman.
And that is the closest the No Way Home is going to get to an Oscar.
Best Supporting Actress, we have Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. Best Supporting Actor, Cody Smith-McPhee for The Power of the Dog, who is not Asa Butterfield.
Apparently, I learned this today.
Best Director, Motion Picture is Jane Campion for Power of the Dog. Kenneth Branagh won for Best Screenplay for Belfast. I didn't know he could actually write.
He made some good movies and then became Kenneth Branagh.
Best Picture Animated went to Encanto because of course it did, because it's Disney.
Does the Disney Corporation produce?
Trying to think. Hans Zimmer won Best Score for Dune because you have to have a Billie Eilish won Best Song for No Time to Die, which, yeah.
Duh.
Okay. Now here we are to the TV stuff. Best Drama Series went to Succession.
Yeah.
Which, as much as I wanted Squid Game to win, because I do love Squid Game, I'm not upset about this at all because Succession this year was perfect.
Yeah, this show's just too good.
And of course, it beat out Squid Game, Pose, Lupin, and The Morning Show. Best Musical Comedy Series went to Hacks, which I have not seen. I've wanted to ask. I kind of forgot about it. But it's Gene Smart, so of course I'm gonna be in.
It's probably gonna be good.
Yeah, it's Gene Smart. I'm all in. Best Television Motion Picture went to The Underground Railroad.
I forgot that was coming out. I remember like hearing about that as like a project when like they put it together, and it seemed really like good. I mean, it's Barry Jenkins.
I haven't seen it. It beat out some big ones. I heard everyone talk about Underground Railroad, but people won't stop talking about Mayor of Easttown. And you have Impeachment, American Crime Story, which I haven't seen because I don't have Hulu or FX. Actually, it's not even on Hulu. It's only on FX, which is really strange. Mm-hmm. But that one kind of had a bunch of hype, and then I didn't really think anything after.
I know, because it wasn't well received, which that was like the knock it out of the park idea for a season, but apparently the execution was just poor.
Well, it depends. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't judge on it. But the big question with that one is how far do they go?
They didn't want to get Epsteined.
Apparently, like somewhat far. It's just like it was super unfocused, apparently, and like just like
Best Actor Drama Series went to Jeremy Strong, who survived that hit piece from the New Yorker on him to rightfully win the Golden Globe. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did not.
No.
New Yorker basically did like an interview on him that was essentially a hit piece about his method acting style.
Oh, that's weird.
And everyone had to go and defend him.
Where's the one for Jared Leto?
Oh shit.
He doesn't need one. You're all aware. Best Actress Musical Comedy went to Gene Smart for Hacks. Jason Sudeikis won for Best Actor Musical or Comedy for Ted Lasso. Sarah Snook won for Succession for Best Supporting Actress.
Well deserved.
And Best Supporting Actor went to my man, Oh Young-soo, the old guy from Squid Game.
Yeah.
Which is the correct answer. As much as I like Kieran Culkin for Succession, this is the correct answer. His performance is amazing. I'm very glad he won. And Squid Game got some win. But that's the Golden Globes. Golden Globes aren't as technical as the Oscars. So
no, they basically either tell you what's going to win the Oscars or someone who's getting awards so that they can give the Oscar to someone else. You just have to decide which one it is.
Yeah, the correlation hasn't been as strong in the last couple of years between the two. There are a few this time. Like I really do think Power of the Dog is probably going to win both, but it is like less.
Will win Best Actor at the Oscars, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think this year there just wasn't a lot of options, so I think you see a lot of stuff carry over.
That's very true.
I think really, it's starting to feel like Power of the Dog for like what's going to win Best Picture really doesn't have much competition because like the next most likely is Belfast, but that's not that likely.
And then maybe Dune.
Right, like it's not
Dune or West Side Story or something like that. But really, I mean, that's not.
Let's go Dune, win everything.
Japanese film, Drive My Car. I think it's called the Japanese film. Like, could either be like a dark horse one, or it might not even get nominated for being 3 hours long.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? The Academy bought some goodwill for giving Parasite Best Picture, and then basically a joke after that.
Hey, we did it the one year.
Like I'm pretty sure Another Round wasn't nominated for Best Picture.
It really should have been.
Yeah, even though the director was nominated for Best Director, like that was insane to me.
You've got like 9 slots, but he gets one of the 5 for director, but that film doesn't get in Best Picture. That was nuts.
Yeah, the voting is ridiculous now, but we'll get to that when that comes up. For now, let's get on.
Now we go to something that won't sniff the Oscars.
Yeah, let's get on to the main top, boys.
Yes, I'm trying to trigger all of you.
I mean, I don't think it should be for Best Oscar, but people were talking about how amazing Spider-Man No Way Home.
I mean,
do you agree with that?
In the dictionary definition of amazing, technically, yes.
I'm still trying to figure out why it's called No Way Home.
Am I amazed at how bad it is? Yes.
So you're probably already thinking, because, hey guys, it's a Marvel movie. You probably are going to make fun of this for the next hour. Well, you would be right. Not to say that I personally hated the movie, because I enjoyed myself in the theater.
Same.
But like objectively thinking about said movie, it's not good.
No.
Like
it's bad.
So if you live under a rock and don't know anything about this movie, it's Spider-Man No Way Home. It is the third and maybe final Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man, now with his identity revealed to the public, needs to try to find a way to live both lives and decides to do a magic spell that has everyone forget that his identity was revealed, which goes wrong and ends up releasing all the other old Spider-Man villains into his universe for reasons I'm not entirely sure. And that's the best I can do at explaining this plot, because the plot is utter nonsense.
Well, even describing that, the spell was designed and it backfired. It brings everyone who knows Peter Parker as Spider-Man into that universe. I'm still trying to figure out how Electro knew who Peter Parker was.
He didn't.
Where's the real Aunt May?
She's still alive. She could have been in this.
And if she wasn't, they could just CGI her in anyway. Because it's Disney.
But anyway, guys, we all saw this movie. Alex held out for a long time, and I respect that.
Yes, I respect it too.
But at the same time, It is making a ridiculous amount of money. It's the biggest film of 2021 and might be one of the biggest ones of 2022.
It's one of the big. At this point, it's one of the biggest films ever.
It is the 6th highest grossing domestic movie ever.
And that's in the middle of all this shit, and in the middle of Omicron. It's the number. It's like gonna break top 5.
Well, I was gonna say it kind of throws out all those other narratives of the other movies. Like, oh, it's COVID, so it's.
I don't know if it really does, because it's only been this one movie.
Right. We have to. I think. Yeah. We have to see what happens now.
Yeah.
My question for this one and why is it this one is just why.
Because
Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in it.
Spoiler alert! Spoilers.
I did the biggest open secret of all time.
Is that these people are in this movie. Well, part of it is Sony, when it comes to leaks, is the worst movie company out there. They can't
remember the emails.
They can't keep anything locked under. I mean, and think about this movie specifically: is all the leaks were true. There were no fake leaks for this movie.
Even now that we're in the spoilers, even Charlie Cox being in this movie.
Yep.
Even that one was true.
That was leaked years ago. Or even the big one that basically said Willem Dafoe is in the movie and he's also the main villain. Which we're like, no way. That was true. Every leak was true.
That's what sucks. I was really hoping they weren't in it just to piss people off.
I kind of was too. I really was.
Yeah, it's simultaneously like the only, like to me anyway, like the only good part of this movie is seeing them, even though like because it's the MCU writing, they're not actually themselves. They're just it's just a generic villain played by Willem Dafoe, and it's a generic bad guy with a chip problem played by Alfred Molina.
And they do their damnedest.
They're very good.
Alfred Molina, Willem Dafoe, even Jamie Foxx, and the voices of Thomas Hayden Church and Rhys Ifans are the best part of the movie.
Yes.
Jamie Foxx was fantastic. They're clearly I would see a full movie with this Electro.
I know, and you're like, how the hell did they fuck up the Amazing Spider-Man 2 with him? It's like,
but they somehow made a movie equally as bad anyway.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of it is they oversimplified them a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, Alex, you brought us up after you saw it to me, that Doc Ock in this entire movie doesn't bring up his wife at all.
Which is it's his entire motivation in Spider-Man 2. It's what ends up also convincing him to shut down the machine, which this movie also forgot about when he had his redemption arc in the second one, but they try and give him a new one anyway by magically fixing him.
Well, that's the thing is, like, when they talk about when they were pulled out, it's like, then why wasn't Doc Ock in the outfit that he was wearing then, where he was soaking wet in the water? And it's just like,
where's
and
him
also
in the bed swallow pants?
And why wasn't he a good guy? Because he redeemed himself before he died, and if they were snapped away before they died, he would have started helping them right away, which actually works better for the plot they're trying to do of having him be the one who helps them anyway.
Because, Alex, they're going to say that he was brought back before that moment, and in this movie is what made him turn good.
Oh my fucking because it's like, why didn't I want to see this movie? Might assume because I don't like superhero movies, but that's not true because I love the first 3 Spider-Man movies. I love the Raimi movies. They're fantastic. I even like 3.
And everyone's back. Like, literally everyone's back except fucking Topher Grace Venom.
Honestly, just throw him in here too. Why not?
Well, you could also say the same thing about Dane DeHaan's Green Goblin too.
Well, that was the big thing, right? Everyone's like, who is the 6th member of the Sinister Six? All these old villains from the old movies are back. Who's the 6th member? No one.
There is no Sinister Six. Go home.
Yeah, basically.
Go home. What are you doing here?
And that's, I think for most people, the appeal to this movie was also, I think, people's biggest concern, which is the fact that all the old characters are back. And it seemed random and pointless because it is. And people loved it. People loved the nostalgia. They love seeing the characters again. But I guess,
remember when he said, I'm something of a scientist myself? Oh my God, he said it again.
I remember. They fucking took a meme and put it in the movie.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
And Alex, I think you especially would agree. A lot of us would love to see more of the Raimi movies. in more of the OG Spider-Man movies. We'd love more of that, but not like this.
Right, if it was actually like continued or understood, or actually like care was put in to make it into a real movie about them that understands the characters and has like motivation and themes the way that did, besides just, oh, we're just going to shove him in here because it's cool.
Honestly, I would have been more happy if they just pulled him out of some other random universe where it was Alfred Molina playing a different Doc Ock. It would have made much more sense and not shit on the Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, just tramples over better movies.
Well, the plot of this movie is that Tom Holland, Peter Parker, gets these villains, and Doctor Strange wants to leave them to their fate. But Tom Holland, Spider-Man, is an idiot and decides he wants to save these people he does not know that are fracturing the multiverse because of him, and decides to save their lives. I want to take a step back and talk about why Tom Holland, Peter Parker, decided he wanted to do this spell in the place.
Do we have to?
Yes. Because his identity was revealed, even though he wasn't actually in any sort of trouble at all, weirdly. Like, that was really strange.
Yeah, we're arresting you, we're questioning you, detaining you, and then all of a sudden...
And you're fine.
Yeah. It's like, we didn't even get a trial or anything.
And they said you have to have proof.
Yeah, there's no... Yeah, MJ was being all like snarky. It was,
I know my rights.
It was
but
very...
why are you here? You are such a bright young girl. That speaks to me on a deep level. I'm going to look up now.
It was very cringy, and of course they're going to college, right? Because senior year of high school, so they're all going to college. Because Peter Parker for some reason still goes to his normal fucking high school after all this.
Why? Just go to the school Bieber went to. No one will bother you.
And they didn't get into MIT, so Peter has to go do his magical spell so his friends can go to MIT.
It's a plot that's so stupid that right after it's done, Doctor Strange makes the movie makes fun of itself for doing so, because he makes fun of him for not just calling the college people, which he's then able to convince the person anyway. So what was the point of the stupid spell thing if the movie itself knows it's stupid?
Well,
it's like Peter Parker's intentionally supposed to be an idiot because he's young, but it's frustrating.
And it doesn't work anymore. Like, he's, after all the stuff he's been through, he should not think like a normal teenager, which is a point, he's older than that in the Raimi movies. That's the point the Raimi movies make, because he's unable to do that and he's frustrated by that. But like, he can't live a normal life because of all he's already done.
Well, also, shouldn't Strange also be like, hey, what we're about to do is going to erase everyone before we even start. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, people are dumb in this movie. Like, it is an example of the idiot plot. It really is.
That's the name of the show.
Yeah, it is the name of the show. And we did it to make fun of shit like this. Although, do you guys want the true, probably my definition of the true reason for why this is? Because Tom Holland is known for being goofy, and so they basically made the entire movie based around Tom Holland being able to be goofy and awkward.
Because that's the only part of... Yeah, honestly, that makes sense, because that's the only part of this performance he can do.
It is. Tom Holland, seeing him act next to Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina, and even Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, he can't keep up.
Yeah, seeing those two play like the same character in the same room as him is like embarrassing him. It's like, has he always been this bad?
And Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have amazing chemistry together.
Yeah, I know. I was quite shocked by that.
Really well. Me too. I was very surprised. I was like, oh wow, they work perfectly. And then Tom Holland will just interject something, and I'm like, fuck off.
But same goes for Ned and MJ, who are also just annoying.
So,
painful.
Remember last week when we talked about Drax, how they basically ruined his character in the MCU movies? It's basically what they did with Ned in the Spider-Man movies. Like, the first movie, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to like this character. And he's like, oh, he turns out to be an actually well-developed character. And then they're like, nope, now he's just a funny sidekick that just does awkward things. It's like... And
yeah, MJ is like...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, MJ in these movies, I mean, Zendaya's a very good actress. The character is horrible. The character has zero likable qualities.
She's not even like the same character we were first introduced to.
Not at this point. It seems to me with these movies that they're letting the lunatics run the asylum a little bit.
This movie was written by Reddit.
Yeah, basically the Reddit, the actors, all these people have influence over the story, and it seems very disjointed. I mean, you look at the scene where Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are brought into the movie, which people who haven't seen the movie. Ned Leeds gets Doctor Strange's magic ring, wants to see Peter Parker, and puts up a magic hole that is, that's not Tom Holland, it's Andrew Garfield. And that's not him either, that's Tobey Maguire. And then they just stop there for some reason.
That scene, everything about that scene pissed me the hell off.
The thing about that scene specifically is that there were 1,000 ways to do the introduction, and they picked what might be one of the worst possible ones.
Yes.
It's just so random. Well, like, it wasn't set up at all. He's just randomly earlier in the movie like, my grandma says I'm magic, and then that's apparently our excuse to have him beat Doctor Strange.
Exactly. Remember in Doctor Strange where he had a hard time? He literally had to be thrown at the top of the tallest mountain in the world and had like a life and death situation to open a freaking portal. Yeah, Ned just waves his hands around like, ugh. Oh, look, it opened.
Yeah, I am a firm believer in suspension of disbelief, in the importance of that in movies, just because, things are going to be weird. But this movie, fucking hell, it needs to calm down. Like, shit's so stupid and so loose.
Well, and going back to that scene again, it's just like, also, are they in their world or are they in their own world? Because they keep talking like, oh, I know you, I've seen you, I've seen what's going on. But then it's like, well, then why haven't you been intervening or helping out? Like, that would have been a cooler entrance where all of a sudden he's fighting one of the other bad guys, and then all of a sudden one of them swoop in to help out.
Well, yeah, isn't that the simplest way to do it? Is that MJ's in trouble from a villain and Spider-Man comes to save her, but it's not Tom Holland, it's Garfield or Maguire. Isn't that the fucking easiest way to do that?
Yeah, not the way they did it.
Yeah, I thought, I was kind of waiting in like the fight scenes that were happening before for them to show up, because I would think they would have been pulled in with the villains. That was my thought the whole movie, that, they're like somewhere in this world right now. That's what I was thinking the whole time, and then they pulled them in, and I'm like, wait, they aren't here? Even when Garfield was like in the thing and he like walked in, I thought he had already like been there.
Same. But then it was like,
they probably pulled him in from somewhere else in New York.
That's what I thought too, but then it was like, it kind of seemed like they were saying like, oh, I was in my world or whatever, which didn't make any sense.
That's why Peter Parker...
I thought they were actually brought to that world with the villains, and the way they were saying it was they were just walking around one day and boop, they're in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's like, so it was like Garfield walking around for days in a Spider-Man costume and no one noticed?
I think so, yes. I think that's the implication.
Oh. I don't think they thought about this at all.
No.
Yeah, but wouldn't they have seen his fight with Doc Ock on the television and been like,
oh, wow, there's another Spider-Man here, I'm somewhere else? Or would Jameson have been like, that Spider-Man and it's one of the other ones?
Which they also don't explain why Jameson is J.K. Simmons.
I was thinking that too. Not only does he have no reason to be in this movie, but like they don't explain why he's the same actor, but all of the Peter Parkers are different.
Well, didn't you notice we gave him a bald head? It's slightly different. And he's not running a newspaper. He's running a blog from his basement.
And he's Alex Jones.
I guess, to me, what's the most disappointing thing about this movie is just coming to the realization of how not great Tom Holland is and how that affects the entire movie. How whiny he is, how unconfident he is, how unearned everything is.
Yeah, that last part is just the problem to me. Like, this expects it to be some epic conclusion. It expects me to be sad when people die and those kind of things, but you've just made all of these characters a joke. Like, you've made them into nothing but jokes. They have no actual development. They get all of their abilities magically from other people, mostly Tony Stark, and they don't actually actually earn anything themselves. So like, but it just expects you to care because internally they're like, that's what movies do. So we do this and people will care, but they don't pay attention to the steps that get you there.
But that's the key MCU issue, right? Is that there has to be jokes everywhere because Iron Man had jokes in it. And people love that because things are lighthearted because of jokes. But it destroys the pacing and meaning of scenes because everything becomes a joke.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Doc Ock scene was the first time I was invested in this whole movie, even though the actual fight scene was uncreative, which is a problem I'm sure we'll get to for this whole movie. But like, I was actually interested because, oh, it's Alfred Molina, and then the scene turns into a joke.
Yeah, it becomes this weird Tom Holland winning by convenience.
Well, again, from like the trailer, why are they laughing at Doc Ock's name?
Because everything's a joke. Everything has to be funny. Everything not MCU is stupid.
Yep.
That's the exact reason why. Because everything not MCU is dumb.
But Doctor Strange, a guy who does weird things with magic that are strange, is not a joke.
See, I have a theory that's supported a little bit. So they have said, according to several articles, this one by IGN, the villain crossover was originally just supposed to be the post-credit scene of just them in the cages at the end of the movie. And somehow Kevin Feige convinced them to make it basically the entire plot of the movie. And it seems like that happened very last minute.
I wonder what was the plot going to be otherwise?
I believe Ned was supposed to become Hobgoblin, and that's why the actor lost a bunch of weight.
That sounds equally stupid.
Well, I would have taken that over, oh, my family has magic, so I can magically do open portals now.
You know what they have to do with Ned, too? Make him stop wearing that stupid wig.
Yeah.
That guy is bald. He is bald. Let him be bald. He has that stupid toupee on. It's not as off-putting as Alfred Molina's wig in this movie.
Alfred, yeah, I was like, is his face CGI'd or what is that? And yeah, it was like the hair.
Well, also the other thing was like his glasses are completely different than the ones he wears in Spider-Man 2. And I'm like, guys couldn't even get the glasses right.
I also do find it funny how the Green Goblin costume from the first one, apparently this movie thinks is stupid, so they have him break the mask so he can just end up wearing a hoodie, which is apparently a cooler costume than that green armor.
Because it's more, in quotations, comics accurate.
Yeah, so we have to destroy
and they had
creativity.
I will say I did like how they kind of did that.
Well, they had an opportunity to make him look more like Green Goblin with the serum that didn't work. They could have had that make him a little bit more Green Goblin-ish instead of Willem Dafoe just going, it didn't work, and then punching him through the wall.
True.
And throwing a grenade that explodes that Aunt May doesn't feel the effects of until 5 minutes later.
Going to that scene, again, how the villains interact in that scene is amazing. Every time Tom Holland talks, I'm just like, just shut up. Just get to the cool shit. And then Willem Dafoe takes over the scene, goes fucking crazy, and breaks his back carrying the movie from that point on. I mean, him body slamming Tom Holland through like 3 floors is like the best part of the whole movie, in my opinion.
Or Tom Holland punching him in the face and he's just smiling like, keep going.
Yeah, that was good. It did annoy me how, like, you know, he literally beats Doctor Strange, but Green Goblin without a costume on or any of his gadgets just absolutely whoops his ass. He just beats the shit out of him when he's got like his full nano armor and everything. He just whoops him.
And then Aunt May dies, revealing that the reason why we haven't had Uncle Ben is because there is no Uncle Ben, and Aunt May is actually Uncle Ben.
We told
3 movies in.
3 movies to get his origin story.
Also, 3 movies in, they last minute decide to try and make her into an actual character, so they try and make her the wise one or whatever when they've made her a joke every single movie before this, including the beginning of the same movie.
Aunt May's entire character arc so far has been she's a hot, characters want a banger.
I was going to say, she's just hot
she's
Aunt
stupid.
May.
Yeah, and that she's like not intelligent until this movie where she is apparently intelligent and knows a lot about the law.
Yeah, like it's a ridiculous movie that I get why people like. I get why people enjoy it. But the cracks are there. Like the fact that the lizard was too expensive to have on screen for too long, and so they just had the kid sit in a truck
That was funny.
Everyone else isn't doing the scene. He's in the truck solely. And I mean, I have no proof of this, but I truly believe it's because he was too expensive.
Yeah. Well,
it's either that or to me, like, they didn't know what to do with him in that scene, so they just literally just stuffed him away. Just like they didn't know what to do with Doc Ock until the finale, so he just nopes off with the other villains, even though he's a good guy now, and like just isn't there until the end.
And that's what it sucks too. Is all the villains basically just fuck off for like the last third of the movie
because they just don't know how to not have them in it.
Yeah, the whole second act they just disappear when like literally just so you have that movie, the part where they pause the movie to have Maguire and Garfield show up. Weave that into the villain story.
Well, that moment
weave it all together.
But the problem with that is they would actually have to have a villain story, because what is Green Goblin trying to do? What is Electro trying to do? What are any of them trying to do?
Go home, but not go home.
It's bizarre. Guys.
They could literally just have Electro be like, I like this power. I want more power. So he starts drawing power from places. Like, the number of things you could do with each of those villains when they're finally free is like limitless, and they do none of it.
And Sandman wants to go home. That's his whole thing, is he wants to go home to see his daughter again. So he should be easy to convince to get back on their side.
Yeah, why it makes no sense that he didn't stick, because he literally goes there and helps Spider-Man right away. It makes no sense that he stops, because that's his quickest ticket home.
Well, that was the only...
Hey, Spider-Man, I'll help you out. Hey, we want to cure you. No! He runs away.
What basically happened was he helped him beat Electro, and then all of a sudden he made Electro disappear, and then all of a sudden he's like, what'd you do with him? I don't trust you anymore. It's just like, dude, calm down.
It's like he thought he killed them, but then when he sees where he sent Electro, why would he still be mad?
I also love that the Thomas Hayden Church couldn't be on set, and so just made Sandman CGI the entire time.
Yeah, like, oh, fuck it.
Like, both him and Rhys Ifans clearly were not on set. Even in the two shots of them where it's them as people, that's clearly stock footage from the previous movies.
And you thought we wouldn't notice.
Yeah, they're like, screw it, the nerds won't care.
They just don't care, because the stuff was half-assed.
Mm-hmm.
Because they think so little of fans that if they just cater to their nostalgia, they'll be happy. And for the most part, they're right.
Yeah, I mean, this is what, the part that's like also a bit defeating is like, that it works, and that like they can be this lazy and get away with it, so why would they stop? I mean, all of the CGI environments are super lazy. They look terrible. And the Statue of Liberty looks like a quarter scale model. Like, they literally sit on the spokes on her head and like cover the whole thing themselves. It's like, how big are these people?
I didn't realize that. Why did you point out? Like, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're like, when like the Spider-Man are on it, right? Like, they cover like the whole head. It's like, do you know how big the Statue of Liberty is?
Yeah, you're like we need 1/16th scale of the Statue of Liberty.
No, but
we're gonna put real people on it.
Remember, it's not the Statue of Liberty. It's a new Statue of Liberty with the Captain America shield.
That's apparently tiny.
That was stupid too, I thought.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that.
There wasn't even like an exposition drop that like hint at that earlier in the movie, I don't think.
It's just like, oh, it has the shield now. Okay.
I really wish there were people that we knew that loved this movie, so we could have them on and give. I want to know people of the movie. I want to know their point of view, because I personally don't get it.
But we got to see the old Spider-Man that I liked.
Well, also it was really funny is like you could kind of tell, like you were talking about, like they changed the plans of what the villain was going to be, because like all the kids that were in the first two movies, it's just like they get like barely any screen time in this one, and they're out after like 2 scenes. Like Betty does her little news thing, and that's it. And then you have Flash, which I thought was possibly going to be in the movie more, and also it's like, oh nope, he's gone after the telling him that the MIT professor is gone.
And even MJ is barely in this movie. What does she do? She's at the computer, but she doesn't really do anything.
True. She's there, but she doesn't do anything. Is more
right. Like, they don't do anything with their relationship. She's just there.
They just hang out.
Yeah, it's a bizarrely written movie that clearly people were thinking about how they wanted it to be, but didn't know how to get there. Just said, fuck it. We'll make it up and go. Just do it however we want.
I also want to say, like, I mentioned this earlier, but, like, because we talked about some of the CGI problems, like, this has been a problem in, I guess, the vast majority of the Marvel movies, with like, a couple of exceptions, but, like, can you really remember anything about the fight scenes besides just that they fought?
No, the action scene, they were shot awful.
Yeah, it's just, like, punch, move over here, punch. There's no creativity in it whatsoever, and it's just
the only thing that was
filler. The action feels like filler at this point.
The only thing that was really creative was when they were in the mirror world with Doctor Strange. Other than that, it was generic fighting at night, can barely see anything, cover the bad CGI and
CGI characters fighting each other.
It's the same problem they've had with all of them, started with Black Panther and the PS2 fight scene, and since then they all look like that scene.
Like the only good fight scenes in the MCU are basically in Civil War and Infinity War.
Well, it's because the fights only exist in the story now because the plot demands that they do. There's no motivation to them. It's like a child gets all his action figures together and goes boom, 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 bashes them together.
This is exactly what it's like. Like, you just smush them together for like a couple shots and that's it.
Like, there's no real creativity. There's no real defining moment. I mean, maybe they weren't on set at the same time, but you have Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe back together again as enemies fighting each other, and yet there's no real scene where those two actually like come into conflict.
No, because they tried to make.
The last time they fought was pretty brutal.
Well, that's because they tried to make the Green Goblin Tom Holland's villain now,
which is dumb. Because Tobey Maguire doesn't acknowledge that Willem Dafoe did in his universe. Doesn't acknowledge that his son died and became evil too.
Mm-hmm.
And that never is told to him or affects. They never use that. Towards Norman, that your son's dead because he followed exactly what you did. Yeah,
it's this bizarre because they use the old movies, but they simplify them to a fault.
Yeah,
and basically take it's like they didn't even see the movies. They take like the base thing, which are the memes and the lines like the part of the sun, the palm of my hand, like all like the stuff they get in Wikipedia articles.
Well, it's also another MCU thing. They can't come up with good villains, so let's steal villains from old movies and make them the villains of our Spider-Man now. It's like...
But give them the MCU treatment, and so all the dimension is wiped away.
Yeah, that really shows, like, that it's kind of like the clearest example we've had to me of the MCU villain problem, is that they literally took villains from old films that were better, far more complex, and pulled them in here, but get the MCU treatment and compare them in these two movies, and that's the clearest example you can get of the problem.
Mm-hmm. It's a big issue that people like brush off that like it's not a problem, but it really is.
Hey, we had Thanos, so now we don't talk about this problem anymore.
Because Thanos was great for Infinity War.
Yeah.
Endgame Thanos is back to the old problem. I mean, Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin, and Alfred Molina, Doc Ock, in the respective original movies, are extremely compelling villains. Even Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are humans who are trying to achieve something and basically get lost in the way. Willem Dafoe, tries to run it with his company, takes the serum, goes fucking crazy. But yet, the movie tries to make it seem like Norman has nothing to do with the Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which is not true at all because, first off, it was his decision to keep pushing things further and further no matter the cost. And also, the Green Goblin always convinces... It's not the Green Goblin taking over. It's him convincing Norman to do these progressively worse things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he gets convinced to do it.
Just like
the movie ignores that.
Just like Alfred Molina's character was convinced by the AI in the claws or whatever. And then they kind of throw that down the chute too, because also it's just like he gets the chip back and also he's like, oh, I'm back to normal. It's like,
he's a completely different person.
Them to destroy the machine.
When that was never the case in the...
He's not a different person. But that's the problem in this movie. It's like it assumes he's a different person without the chip.
Yeah.
That was just a part of it. That just gave them a mind of their own. It didn't take over his mind.
No, they just...
I will say the movie does improve Jamie Foxx's Electro, though.
Yes,
it does kind of redeem that.
That is like the only thing it does for villains is it improves Jamie Foxx's.
That was very unexpected, but he was really funny. He was having a great time, and I would actually like to see more of that character. Like, they did great with that.
We just gonna stand around and act like I'm not just butt ass naked in front of you? Yes, no.
like it's especially because I wish this movie was just the villains doing like Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure shit. Like them just walking around fucking New York getting into trouble. Because the movie is at its best when it's those characters kind of vamping off each other.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx does great work when he can vamp off other people.
Osborn, you're dead. Actually, you both are dead.
Which, how does Sandman know how they both died? Kind of seems like something that would be swept under the rug.
He knows this stuff because it's probably on the news, on New York. I think it's going to be on TV.
Yeah, because I think, they wouldn't know that Doc Ock redeemed himself.
It's pretty simple. It doesn't make a ton of sense, no, but it makes sense. Deniability. It's not great. It works. I will say a hot take about this movie that I haven't heard anyone say, but in my opinion is the case, is that Tobey Maguire is not great in this movie. He's acting like he has a gun pointed at his head. And he's better than Tom Holland, but he clearly doesn't have his heart and soul put into it.
He's walking around on stage as someone's pointing a gun at him. He's just kind of like looking off like, yeah, I'm doing it.
You better get on that stage. Yeah, I don't know. I still think, I still enjoyed him in it. I still think, he's fairly good, but he didn't show, his usual emotional range because, you can tell he's kind of phoning it in, which does still make him better than Tom Holland, but there was a little bit missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was clearly,
How long has it been since he's actually been in a movie?
I was thinking that, too. It's been a little bit since he was in something, high profile. He's kind of just, been off the grid a little bit.
I think that was kind of on purpose. I think he's kind of semi-retired.
Yeah, I was thinking he's been in a few small movies. I thought he was in... No, okay, I'm wrong.
His last big one was The Boss Baby.
Okay.
Interesting. He's been a producer.
I don't really count that.
He executive produced Nobody.
Yeah, and before that, it was Pawn Sacrifice, which is great.
Yeah, back in 2014, though. That's quite a while.
But I think part of it is he's just kind of semi-retired.
Yeah, he's been producing, which, that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. But, he's been, hasn't been doing much acting.
Yeah, because I think he's like a dad now, so he's just doing this thing. Which, I mean, it's good to see him back in this. I don't think this means we'll see more of him and stuff, but it's good to see him back, even though he clearly isn't acting like he did back in 2002.
No, I mean, he had back issues dating back to the other movies. I doubt he'd be able to do it now anymore.
Which they call out in this movie again too, with him and Garfield.
Yeah.
That part was funny because they have, like we said before, they have great chemistry. And I mean, Andrew Garfield is clearly going for it. He went for it. He brought everything he had.
He cared.
Give me another shot.
he wanted to redeem himself because I think he's probably pissed of how people talk about him as Spider-Man, which is unfair.
Well, I was gonna say this kind of does give me it's nice to see him actually in a good I shouldn't say that. It's not a good Spider-Man movie.
He gets better stuff to work with because Mark Webb should never have been given full creative control for those movies. He was insane.
Yeah, he does have a lot better stuff to work with in here than he did in either of his movies.
Well, and him and Toby have great chemistry. He gets that moment where he saves Zendaya,
which was a nice callback.
Yeah, to me that's the only part with genuine emotion in this whole movie.
I did kind of roll my eyes a little bit because of course they had to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Tobey Maguire to come through that portal carrying pizzas going, pizza time, and have that be his fucking intro at the rate this movie will go.
No.
That should have been a post-credit scene.
It was so... That's what's so mad about me, is there are parts of this movie that I like, but then I think of all the Tom Holland bits, and then I get angry again.
And then you try and logic it and think about the plot, and it gets even worse.
And where it gets the worst is the finale.
They were movie.
They basically it's well, first you pull this part of the whole movie where Tom Holland is about to stab Green Goblin with the glider, and then Tobey Maguire steps in to stop him, and then Willem Dafoe stabs Tobey Maguire, which of course everyone's going, oh shit, are they gonna kill off Tobey? And then he's just fine.
He's totally good.
He's just fine apparently. And
it's like,
Tom
I'm
Holland
in pain.
is not to kill Green Goblin, even though he seemed to forgive Green Goblin until they get to that fight, and he just goes unglued. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it was total nonsense.
They play fast and loose with people's logic in this movie, like we said.
And then Peter Parker comes with the solution that everyone should just forget who Peter Parker is, and that would solve the problem.
That somehow magically fixes, like, it doesn't make sense why that would fix it. That's just adding more spell.
Because at this point, the spell is ruptured, and the multiverse is converging on this universe, and it's gonna be a big issue. So that's their solution to it. Which again, if it was just press the button, beginning of the movie, all this would be fine. But so everyone forgets who Peter Parker is, including every Marvel character, MJ, Ned. They don't remember who Peter is.
But they also randomly don't remember who Spider-Man is.
That's the part too. Spider-Man still exists and is an established hero. But yet Ned and MJ don't remember having any adventures with Spider-Man. Shouldn't they remember that?
Yeah,
You'd
that
think.
doesn't make any sense.
I mean, J. Jonah Jameson still has his heart on for trying to turn him, say he's a villain and everything, so.
It doesn't make sense and only exists because the deal is up and Sony might not be able to use certain characters anymore.
Where it's like, hey, he's still Spider-Man if we want.
Yeah, like they basically made that how the movie ends.
The ending was made for contract reasons.
Basically, and they could have just done it simply, and they could have just had it where have Tom Holland go to a different universe or travel the multiverse or some shit. But
Yeah,
nope.
I mean, like the '90s animated Spider-Man had like that plot line where MJ gets like sucked into a different universe and he goes there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They did.
You could just do that.
Yeah, like well, that was what the plot was. Is they were going to all go to the Venomverse. Like Venom was going to show up, and they were all going to follow Venom.
And then that didn't happen.
Except Venom shows up, but then just disappears after 20 seconds, leaves a little bit of goo behind.
So let me. How long do you think it's been from the start of the movie to the end of the movie? Like at least a year, right, or almost?
Probably no, because they're not at MIT yet.
Yeah, but we go through that whole montage of them trying to apply at colleges, so
That doesn't take very long.
it's gotta be what, maybe 6 months then? So 6 months,
most.
you get Eddie Brock, Venom, just chilling out, getting drunk for 6 months to leave.
They don't know what they're doing. I think what we see here is the problem when you have two studios trying to make a movie with characters with shared ownership.
That they
And
all
they're like, screw it, throw them in. The nerds won't notice anyway.
that they each want to have it out at the end if they need to.
Basically,
But left the door open just in case.
because Sony, I don't think wants to keep doing it.
Yeah, because I think last time they re-upped because they had zero success on their own, and we're like, well, we might as well keep going with Disney. They had to obviously fight to get a slightly more advantageous deal that was still heavily Disney favored, but now
Yep.
they've had the success with Venom on their own with 2 movies, so they think they can do it on their own. So I think they're just going to pull it all back because they're like, well, we have somehow by some magical success, both Venom movies made a ton of money, so they're confident they can do it on their own now.
It made sense for them to take the deal that they did at the time because they were in dire straits. They didn't know what the hell to do with the character. Mm-hmm. It made sense for them to just be like, listen, we'll pay for it, just make the movies. But then Marvel got, greedy's not the right word, but they got like super like, Spider-Man has to be in everything. And Sony eventually was like, wait a minute, guys, calm down. Like we're not making any money off this. And
especially when he's in an Avengers movie.
And
right, it's like to that.
And what's insane to me about all that is how many people, when this new deal that's now about to be up got signed, and before that it looked like no deal was going to be made, was how many people were on Disney's side. That was insane.
Yeah, Disney was demanding like 80-something% of the profit.
yeah, it was ridiculous. Like I think even at the time they're making. I think Disney was making at least half of the box office revenue without actually putting up a dime to pay for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what is it right now? Like 60% goes to Disney.
I think it's less than that. I think it's
60 to Sony. I can't remember.
It's got to be 60 Sony because it's a Sony movie, isn't it?
It is technically.
Yeah,
it's Sony.
they like put up the production cost.
Because I'm pretty sure at its peak, Marvel was making half, Sony was making half, but Marvel wasn't paying for anything.
Yeah.
Like it was insane, but I understand why Sony picked it at the time. But now it's like, well, now we have momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And
but it does feel weird because they put up the cost, but like visually, how it's made, everything is exactly like all of the other MCU movies.
It was a Marvel. That's because it was a Marvel Studios movie paid for by Sony.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That makes sense.
Like
so Kevin Feige had full creative control.
Yeah, Sony put up the money and they had creative control over the story and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very bizarre partnership.
Well, the only reason people were on Disney's side is because like, oh, I don't want him to leave the MCU.
Which
they should have never sold the character.
What gives you the right?
I think they're actually in an advantageous position now, Sony, where they can sneak him out of the MCU. Just let the deal lapse. Don't make a big deal about it. I'm sure Disney will try to, but just don't make a big deal about it. And then you'll make another movie, and it'll have all the people in it, and the general populace is just going to assume it's still tied to it, and they'll watch it and then not even think about the fact that it's not in the MCU anymore.
Like Sony's already sneaked him out of the MCU. People didn't realize it.
Yeah, and they tied it to Venom, and everybody's happy right now. And yeah, they've secretly completely pulled him out. And then when he shows up as Spider-Man again, they'll be like, "Oh, it's another one in the Spider-Man movies. It's another MCU movie. I'll go see it," and they won't notice.
because they gave everyone Toby and they gave him Andrew Garfield, and now everyone's content and satisfied.
Here's what they're gonna do. They're gonna do a Miles Morales switcheroo and kill off Tom Holland.
They might. They honestly might.
Yeah, I think it seems like he kind of wants to be done.
Yeah, what's the quote he said? If I'm still doing Spider-Man when I'm 30, I've done something wrong.
I think you might want to cling to that, man. I don't know how the rest of your career is going to go.
Well, he said he wants to take a break or whatever.
Well, seeing his Uncharted trailer, he's playing the same characters in every movie.
Yeah.
He also thinks that you could just walk in and pitch a young James Bond movie.
I can't believe he did that. I cannot believe he did that.
Sony or something, which first off, yeah, Eon holds those rights. Second off, they would never make something other than the mainline James Bond.
That's probably why he didn't go to Eon, because Eon would have laughed in his freaking face.
I will laugh in his face. I will go...
That's like when Dave Bautista went to Warner Bros. and it said, "Make me Bane."
That's not how this works, man.
To
At
be
least
fair,
he went to
he
the
would be
people who have the rights.
He's got the size and look to be Bane, but
yeah, but what's he as an actor going to a studio with like no writer, no director, and just say, "Hey, I should be this character in this hypothetical movie."
Oh, you don't.
That's just like an ambush for the execs. So, okay, we're going to talk about these roles. We're going to be good. Hey, so I'm going to tell you about my young James Bond movie. What? We don't have those rights, and you're not a writer. And then that turned into Uncharted somehow.
Because Uncharted, I think they're doing the smart thing where they want to cast a young Nathan Drake so he can grow into the character, and they can do Uncharted for the next 20 years. Because Tom Holland
bomb.
It's gonna tank. It doesn't look very good.
That and cast Mark Wahlberg as Sully. It's wrong on all levels.
It is. That's such bad casting.
It just also doesn't look good. It's like, oh, remember this scene from the game? Remember this one?
It looks like a video game. That's not what you want to hear about a movie.
Yeah, it's got all the CGI and shit.
And Tom Holland's career might be short. I mean, the movies he's in that are Spider-Man aren't doing great. Chaos Walking was a gigantic failure.
We have another Daisy Ridley on our hands.
Yeah, weren't they? They were in that together, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, that was like perfect.
And
you're the same person. The two of you are the same person.
You can only do one thing.
Like Daisy Ridley is basically done.
Yeah, I think so. She got a couple of shots. They weren't good movies. Obviously, that saga ended poorly with Rise of Skywalker. I think she's kind of done.
And what was shocking to me with her was when she failed to get Laura Croft.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, you might be in trouble if you can't get a character that
you
literally
base look like.
Yeah, that basically you. I would think of you immediately when they made that. They're gonna make a movie on Tomb Raider. I would think of you as Lara Croft, but maybe she'll go and do TV. Same with Tom Holland, because Tom Holland's popular still.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can. As long as he's dating Zendaya, he can stay relevant.
I was gonna say until they break up.
Yeah. He better work fast. Because I mean, she's not going anywhere, so he's got to do some work here. Yeah, she's like Timothy Chalamet, where now she gets every role.
She's actually a better actress than I thought she'd be.
She has range.
Yeah, she's in a lot of different. Like she's got Euphoria, Dune. All of her roles are very different.
Can I say the quiet part out loud now about this movie?
Yes.
Talking about Sony movies.
I was gonna say I thought we already talked about the quiet part out loud, but yeah.
For me, the quiet part out loud is that Sony already made this movie and it was 15 times better, and that's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
This movie already exists. It was already made, and it was made better as a cartoon.
Significantly. And I mean, we've talked about this how many times that I'm not big on animation. That movie is really good. That's a very good movie.
Yeah. I mean, the way it introduces characters makes sense. The story makes sense. It's gorgeous.
The characters stay the characters. They're not completely... They change on a whim.
Yeah, they have actual development. They're interesting and complex. Like I love Dad Peter Parker. Miles Morales is great. Like just all of the characters are really strong.
Freaking Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir. We don't pick the ballroom. We're just here to dance or whatever.
Well, and that movie could have been bad because of No Way Home. Because originally the end was supposed to have Doctor Strange show up and talk about the multiverse. And I believe canonically the old dad Spider-Man is supposed to be Tobey Maguire.
Yeah,
that's what my suspicion. Like watching it and felt that way. And also they have like sound. They use like sound bites from those movies at one point.
Yes, they did.
I think they did.
But I think because of No Way Home, they had to change shit.
Well, if that's the case, I'm glad they did because it works better the way they have it.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a good movie. Like despite those issues, they understand what Spider-Man movie needs to be. And instead, with No Way Home, we get what should be a finale, but feels more like an origin story.
Yeah, and it's very hard to have a finale when the first two movies and this movie aren't connected thematically, and there's no like progression, so it's hard for it to feel like a finale.
Remember when they said we're not going to do any more origin stories with Spider-Man? They meant one movie. It's going to be a 3 movies origin now.
Well, and they have talked about doing more Spider-Mans with a new trilogy. I don't know if Holland signed up for them yet because I believe his contract's up or it's about to be up.
It would be interesting to see Tom Holland in one more movie where he is not like they showed in the movie. He's not baby Iron Man anymore. He's the broke and
he's actually Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not Iron Spider. Because at the end of the movie, like seeing the stone costume, I'm like, oh wow, he's actually Spider-Man.
Well, that was the thing, and then he's like on his own. He's got to pay rent and everything. It's like,
give me rent.
Fix the damn door.
Well, here's actually an important piece of information that might be a correction for us. Feige confirmed that in December that he and Pascal, along with Sony and Disney, were actively beginning to develop the story of the next Spider-Man film following Parker's momentous decision in No Way Home, and promised that the partnership between Sony and Disney would not break down again as it did during the development of No Way Home.
Can they promise that though?
I was gonna say, I call bullshit on that.
But I think that makes this ending make even less sense.
Yeah, to me, it would actually be absurd if they had this ending and then continued the partnership because this is their out. They wrote it into the movie.
Yeah.
And then how does Venom work?
Well, he went back to his own universe and he left a little bit of goo.
And and I believe that they want to do a Venom for Spider-Man movie, but I'm not sure in which universe. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Sony tries to continue the Andrew Garfield movies and maybe even the Maguire movies after this.
I would be interested in continue. I mean, they should leave the Maguire ones alone unless Sam Raimi comes back, because otherwise they're not going to do that story right. But I would be somewhat interested in more Garfield, because they could kind of play with an older Spider-Man the way the PlayStation series is right now, right? Kind of have a Peter Parker who's a little bit older and has been doing it for a while.
Mm-hmm. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man should be the mentor for Miles Morales.
Yeah, that would be good. I don't think you're gonna get another Raimi Spider-Man. I don't think Maguire's in for it.
Well, I don't, with his back issues, honestly, it's probably less physically demanding now than it was back then, because you can just CGI everything.
True.
But yeah, I don't think he's into it, like we said, or Kirsten Dunst. I mean, she still really loves those movies, but her profile at this point is much bigger, and it's just hard to see too. Sam Raimi, after all that time, wanting to do it and having an idea good enough.
Well, he's doing Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Which he wanted to do. He talked about he wanted to do more superhero stuff again.
Well,
which supposedly the movie might be in trouble.
I mean, I'd be kind of down. I mean, after, I don't know. It depends on which one you get, because after I rewatched Spider-Man 1 and 2 because I caught him on TV, and it was just he did a really good job, especially in Spider-Man 2 with the action, the train sequence. It still holds up.
Perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, all the practical, a lot of really interesting practical work. There is CGI, but there's not a ton comparatively. But since then, Sam Raimi has kind of become a different director. So it's do we get old Raimi? Do we get new Raimi? Where's he at?
He
hasn't done anything in a while.
At least, okay, so we know that Sam Raimi did those ones. Without looking at Wikipedia, can you guys tell me who directed Spider-Man No Way Home?
John Watts or whatever.
Yeah, that guy.
Yep.
He's doing Fantastic Four too.
I was curious if you guys actually were able to tell me.
Yeah, I know I believe it's the same guy who's done all three of the MCU ones, right?
I couldn't remember his first name. I just went with John, but I knew it was Watts.
There's no distinct style to it.
And my complaints about the first one he did at Homecoming, I'm he's not good at action. It's can we help him out? 2 movies later, still haven't helped him out. It's come on, Marvel.
But action is a Marvel problem. And I think part of it is almost seems like that they're doing the action scenes without the actors on set and just CGI and everything.
Probably right. Or you don't have both actors on set, so it's just well, we're just going to shoot you doing a bunch of stuff and shoot them doing a bunch of stuff, and we'll edit it in post.
And the set is just a green warehouse.
I think that was definitely the case with No Way Home. Because there are certain scenes where clearly all the actors are not there on the same day.
Yeah,
the prison stuff.
Yeah, when they're all in the jail cells, clearly everyone's there. Thomas Hayden Church and Rhys Ifans aren't even there. They're fucking recording this shit over Zoom. Willem Dafoe and Tobey Maguire probably weren't on set together, which is why they shared no real big scenes.
And that's sad.
Because they had to give Willem Dafoe to Tom Holland. No, give Tom Holland his own nemesis, damn it.
What's that?
Yeah, they should have just given him his own, or just if you're gonna co-opt one, just take Jamie Foxx, because you didn't get to very good material last time, so just make him the main villain.
And Jamie Foxx, well, I was under the impression that Jamie Foxx was gonna be the main villain until I was Vermillion is also in it, and then so was Willem Dafoe and Thomas Hayden Church and Rhys Ifans. What the hell is this movie?
I thought it was gonna be Jamie, especially during their interactions or whatever, when they go up to the Happy's room,
he's talking
apartment
about
or whatever,
the new energy and stuff. And so he's the one who's making moves. And I knew that Willem Dafoe was going to be secretly evil because duh, but it felt like Jamie Foxx, that was the only person they were actually building anything for a reason why he would want to turn evil. And then they just kind of forget about it.
For how much money you have to pay to get some of these actors to sideline them is insane. Like Jamie Foxx probably got paid more than Tom Holland to be in this movie.
Probably.
Honestly, that'd be right.
Because this is he probably definitely did, considering this is what Tom Holland's first contract with Marvel, and he was a relatively unknown when they casted him.
Yeah.
Just like when Jennifer Lawrence signed with Fox for X-Men movies, and she bitched about her contract later. It's like, well, you were relatively unknown.
Well, she didn't bitch about the contract. She said that she didn't want to do it anymore because of the makeup. But secretly, we all knew it was because she wasn't being paid that much. She was doing.
Yeah, if you're gonna put me in that much makeup, pay me more.
Yeah, she was. Well, she did Hunger Games and was the biggest star in the world, but has to fucking stop what she's doing to go play this character for SAG minimum when she was only in Winter's Bone
and get put in blue makeup for like 3 hours.
But this movie also still proves that Raimi was right, that you don't necessarily need the big, which MCU is always wrong, because MCU always seems to get the biggest actors for roles that they're not appropriate for. And Raimi especially knew, like Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. Alfred Molina is not a big name; he's a character actor, but he's perfect for Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Thomas Hayden Church, like who the hell is Thomas Hayden Church? The guy from Wings.
I mean, even at the time, like, I mean, Tobey Maguire had like some good movies at that time, but he wasn't a megastar or anything, and he cast him as Spider-Man because he was a good fit.
Like Marvel now always has to get like the biggest actors to play to play every role.
Yeah, we gotta get Cumberbatch or
even the
Joaquin
side shit,
Phoenix,
like Glenn Close and
John C. Reilly,
Walton Goggins as the weird random villain from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That's right. I forget about that movie.
Like
Mads Mikkelsen, you know,
their casting's usually pretty terrible. And now Bill Murray's in Ant-Man 3, so we'll see how the hell that goes.
Oh my God, why?
He only does things for money now, so they must have paid him a lot.
I was gonna say he must need money.
Or if Wes Anderson did it, then he'll show up. But the one I think about too is like, even
or you have to convince him Wes Anderson made it. Hire a writer whose name sounds like Wes Anderson.
No, you have to hire a writer with the initials W. Anderson.
Yeah, I think it's Walt Anderson.
Wait, who's the W.S. Anderson? Who's the guy who does the Resident Evil movies?
Yeah, that guy. Get him to do it. So Mary will get.
He's like, Paul W.S. Anderson. Just cut out the Paul and then P.W.S. Anderson. Oh, Wes Anderson.
He didn't tell me he was doing this.
He's old. He won't notice.
So anyway, guys, quick final thoughts on Spider-Man: No Way Home.
The characters are idiots. Has some good moments. I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's as great as everyone says it is.
Should it be the best picture?
God, no.
That's no. No. Should Fast 9 be up for best picture?
I would vote for Dune for best picture before.
I just love, Alex, what's the article that you sent me? It said
the Variety article. There was a Variety article that said, I didn't like No Way Home, but it should be nominated.
Which is like, what are you talking about?
It makes no sense.
Some of those articles are the weirdest. I don't agree, but this should definitely win or something. It's like, why are you writing?
Yeah, it's like, it's supposed to be for the best movies. If you don't think it's one of the best movies, it shouldn't be there. But I think with this, it's like, I actually disliked the one before this more, Far From Home. I think that was a worse movie. But at this point, like, this carries some of the same problems. It has more good moments, but like you said, every time there's a good moment, something happens right after that brings the movie down. It's just a mess. The writing's bad. CGI's bad. The action is bad.
Well, one big thing that, like you said, one thing happens and drags it down. It's like Aunt May dies and you're emotional, and then we have this weird comedic scene where Ned somehow gets Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire into his house. It's like not really the flow you want right there.
Yeah, Aunt May just deciding to die.
Yeah, she's fine for 3 minutes and then dies.
Well, I was surprised. I was surprised she actually got up. So
I actually have an interesting comparison to make. All the complaints that we just made about like tone shifts and all the weird humor when there shouldn't be and all that stuff were the same complaints that people had and still have about the Star Wars prequels. Yet people love this movie.
That is interesting.
And at least, those had actual effort put into them too. Like, this just feels very sloppy.
it feels very much like they'll love it because of nostalgia.
Seems to be with most movies lately. Remember? I remember.
I mean, I
Remember
saw
the
it in
Ghostbusters?
I mean, I saw this in theaters. I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. And then thinking about it later, it's not a good movie.
Well, that was the thing. Is like I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed that, and then all of a sudden I'm driving home and I'm like, yeah, wait, that didn't make sense. That was kind of stupid. Man, I don't think I like this movie.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
It's the epitome of like, I mean, I am a little mad, but it is kind of the epitome of I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I just feel like, I don't know, I feel empty.
One final question for you, Alex. How do you feel now about two things?
No, I know exactly what you're going to ask, and I already hate you for asking it. Please continue.
One, how do you feel about the first Spider-Man movie? No, I mean the first movie in the MCU canonically.
I hate you, and I hate everyone.
And question number two, how do you feel about your favorite superhero movies or one favorite series now being unwritten in this movie?
I feel like I want to die.
Like, literally, the whole point of this movie is to unwrite those movies and make them not happen.
See, that was almost my, like, when you introduced me, I was almost going to say, guess what? Sam Raimi's movies are the MCUs. But I was like, I'm going to hold off. We don't want to get on a rant just yet.
You get a little angry.
It just feels sad. Like, like when you say that, like, I don't even, like, rage. I just feel sad.
I mean, the first time I asked, you were raging.
But now that I've seen it, I just feel defeated.
Because, I mean, MCU has to have everything in it. Nothing can be sacred. X-Men will be next.
I can't wait for Citizen Kane to enter the MCU. So they can claim every movie ever as part of the MCU.
Well, sooner or later, they're just going to buy Sony so they can throw them in the MCU.
Probably.
I don't know if Disney can technically buy Sony. Sony would have to divest their motion picture arm, which honestly I can see them doing.
I can definitely see them doing that too, especially since like not gonna do they've lost big distribution deals like Bond, so
they can do. But here's the thing: I don't know if Disney can legally buy them. It might be too much.
Question. They might just secretly buy some of the properties, just gut it, and then
they could buy. Yes, Disney could buy divisions, but they can't buy the whole thing. I don't think.
Yeah, they can't get away with another Fox.
It depends how much distribution Sony has. Not, I don't mean like the distribution wing of the movies. I mean like, do they have how many TV channels, streaming services, that kind of thing? Because I think Sony owns Crackle, which I don't believe Disney would probably be able to own. It depends. It depends how much of Fox is left. That's the sad thing.
How much have they gutted? Is their tummy rumbly again?
Because and Fox is pretty gutted. Like, they don't want to talk about that, but like they gutted Fox.
Oh yeah, they did.
Oh, they ate it up.
The animation is gone. TV divisions are gone, except for FX.
Gone.
FX was untouched.
Everything but Searchlight is gone.
I was gonna say, is Spotlight still there?
Yeah, Searchlight's probably the only one that was like untainted.
That's surprising.
Everything else, basically, they fulfilled existing contracts and then gutted it. Because I mean, if they broke existing contracts and broke existing deals, that would cause problems. But I know like Fox's entire development slate was basically wiped clean. A bunch of big movies like I think like the Mouse Guard were completely wiped out, even though they were like almost like done. Like it was insane. And Disney would totally do that with Sony. They buy Sony. They would take Spider-Man, which is probably what only thing Sony has right now. Is Spider-Man.
I was trying to think, what does Sony all own?
They own Ghostbusters. They own Ghostbusters. They own Hotel Transylvania.
Uncharted.
Technically not. They own the rights to the movies from the games. If they bought the film division, they probably wouldn't own Uncharted.
Right.
Looks like they have Jumanji.
Probably the chance of Meatballs. So not great. not a ton. Because they have some like theme parks now. It's like this. That's all you guys have.
Man, Sony's list of movies is like
Peter Rabbit.
god awful.
The Equalizer.
That's why they have Spider-Man. Like that's like all they have is Spider-Man.
Bloodshot. Vin Diesel is Bloodshot.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Oh, they have Men in Black.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. So did they.
Well, no, they didn't. They made that Chris Hemsworth one that was really terrible.
Oh, I forgot that existed, and so did the world. Wow,
it's
that
really
was
bad.
a movie, wasn't it? Wow, that was just a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That made money?
2019. Wow.
Well, that and they keep scrapping projects too, like the He-Man movie and stuff. There's a really good chance that they're probably gonna. I think they're gonna be selling off the movie division soon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you have when you have the great movies like The Smurfs, why wouldn't you?
Well, and they're in it. Really, all Sony has right now is Spider-Man in their animation division.
Yeah, and even that's questionable.
Because they have Spider-Verse, which is great, but they got rid of Jenny Trevikoski's Popeye movie, which looked fantastic and should have been kept.
Looks like their biggest properties are Spider-Man and the Hotel Transylvania movies.
Well, Disney would also want to get their hands on Ghostbusters too, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's tailor-made for Disney. The nostalgia. Oh, wow.
Nostalgia,
Let's
the
ruin
theme
it.
park stuff. Get Ghostbusters for the parks. Yeah, they want. I mean, they obviously would want Sony to get all Spider-Man stuff back in the MCU and have control of everything except Namor. Because I think the only things that they'll have now are Spider-Man, Namor, and the complete rights to Hulk.
Who has Namor?
Universal. Universal has. They might have lost Namor, but I know for a while they had Namor. But I believe Universal still has like the Hulk rights, in that Disney can't do a solo Hulk movie or have Hulk be in the title. It's crazy. Sony's gotta be loving this though, because Spider-Man's making a bunch of money. It's basically breaking the pandemic records and making people realize the pandemic doesn't exist for like a week
Or two.
Which I think Spider-Man proves the one truth about it is that that movie theaters are going to become a more boutique thing. They're not going to become the let's go to a movie on a Saturday afternoon with no warning kind of thing now. It's going to be only for the big films.
Yeah.
Just because, it's making $1 billion, but no other movie has come close to that in almost 2 years. So we'll see what happens with them going forward. But anyway, those are our thoughts. Guys, final scores on Spider-Man No Way Home. Alex, go ahead.
I have it at a 2 out of 5 right now.
Justin, how about you?
I think I have it at a 2.5.
I currently have it at 3 with plans to lower it to 2.5.
I think when I left, I was thinking 3, and then you slowly start to think about it, and I'm like, yeah, it's going down.
So yes, people, I know we shit in this movie for the past hour and a half, but we don't think it's like dumpster fire bad.
No, I still think...
Yeah, it's not the worst movie of the year or anything. It's just bad.
It's just a bloated, unfunny, ugly mess.
Where everyone's an idiot.
Everyone's an idiot. But Tom Holland's so cool.
Did you see him and Zendaya had lunch?
Okay, I don't know why that's so funny. That's cool. I did see that. I have to say, what's the best part about that whole relationship is Sony trying to hide the fact that Zendaya is like a solid 2 inches taller than Tom Holland.
That's really fun. I kept thinking that this whole movie.
And they even talked about that, like it messed up scenes because when there were scenes where they would have to like swing together, she would always land first because she's taller, which would cause Tom Holland to trip. Like every time, which could have been a funny joke, right? If they would have actually just had the balls to like play with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, have the balls to actually make her taller than him in the movie.
Well, Tom Holland doesn't seem to care about it, so why not?
Right. I think it would. Yeah, you could lean into it.
Yeah, lean into it. There's some jokes
And
there
that's
that actually
make
work.
character.
It's like we're not blind. We can clearly see she's like 2 inches taller.
Because it's not that Tom Holland's super short, it's just that Zendaya is super tall.
And she's like, what, 5'10"?
5'10", 5'11", depends on what Google search.
Plus, if she's wearing heels or something.
Yeah, yes. And Tom Holland's like, I think like 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
Which isn't short. It's not like he's 5'2".
Hell, I think
But
Robert
he's-
De Niro was shorter than him.
But don't worry, guys. We have Morbius coming out next. So
Not
go
till
ahead.
like April.
So go ahead and get hyped.
Please, God.
Alex is sweating, thinking we're gonna make him watch Morbius. Which it might be fun to watch just with Jared Leto being weird.
I bet he pretended to be an actual vampire and behind the scenes.
Just started
which is
biting people's
being
necks.
Production assistants.
Hey, Jared.
All the crew members had to wear garlic around their necks and hold crosses.
Well, it'll be interesting just because I'm curious of how much Michael Keaton's actually in it.
I'm just curious because the Sony movies they make without Marvel typically are still garbage, but are just making money this time.
Yeah, I know.
So let's see if Morbius continues that trend. Anyway, we've been taking it for a long time. So I say we wrap this up. We had our final thoughts already. Spider-Man No Way Home is currently available in theaters. I don't know if it's going to be on streaming anytime soon or where for free, but if you want to see it, it's currently in theaters. It'll probably be in theaters till like May at this rate with nothing else coming out. If you want to see it, go see it. Let us know what you thought about it. I'm sure we're in the minority for our thoughts on the movie.
Oh, yeah.
From everything I've seen, we're definitely in the minority.
So please come talk to us. Let us know your thoughts. I'm curious to see some actual like arguments on why the movie's good. I actually want to see them, not just it has Tobey Maguire in it. I want to see like some actual good arguments. So please let me know if you have one. Otherwise, if you like what you just heard, follow, like. We really appreciate everyone's support as we get through our first year of doing podcasts, and with hopefully more to come. So we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to Idiot Block. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, follow us on Facebook and Letterbox. The links are in the description.